What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Great League with part 2 of running a triple buffed bug and steel type team, this time with very much the B team of Wormadam Trashcloak, Durant and Shadow Escavalier. Obviously with this being a part 2, that means there was a part 1 which if you haven't seen, I would strongly recommend checking out, as I was able to beat several fire type Pokemon with a team of Shadow Fortress, Shadow Sizzle and Genesect. Now unfortunately I was not quite able to replicate the same feat with this team, and unfortunately it seems like fire types are a lot more common in the meta at this point in time, so whilst I could genuinely recommend the team in part 1 a few weeks ago, I must stress that you absolutely should not try this team at home right now. There's just way too many fire types, you are not going to have a good time. But despite all of that, I was still able to pick up some crazy wins with this team. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which Pokemon has caused you the most issues when facing up against it in the Go Battle League this season? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. I'm starting into the first battle, leading Wormadam into Golisopod. So this is going to depend if they're on Shadow Claw or Fury Cutter, whether or not it's an okay matchup, but the opponent actually swaps out anyways, probably implying that they are running Fury Cutter. They swap into a Shadow Dusclops, or sorry, a Shadow Dusknoir. We're going to go straight for Iron Head. Iron Head is going to be shielded by the opponent. Wormadam will just barely live the Astonish damage hit and reach another Iron Head. The opponent fires off a second Shadow Punch there. We go for one Metal Sound, fire off Iron Head number 2, and the opponent gonna no shield, so I'm actually gonna swap Snipe with the Shadow Escavalier. And I know that, well, I assume that they're gonna be on Fury Cutter with that Golisopod, so they actually don't come back in with it. They come in with a Sableye, and they barely outpace me to the charge move, but foul play doesn't quite take out the Shadow Escavalier. We are very glassy, but we reach the Aerial Ace, saving our shield for our Durant in the back. We're gonna come in with that Durant. The opponent will reach another foul play. This time I will be shielding. Foul play wouldn't quite get the KO here, but the opponent committing to another foul play, they don't get there, and we're just one away from the Stone Edge. Golisopod coming back in, but Stone Edge gets that one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG up in there into the next battle. We can see Wormadam into Credilli, so this is a great lead matchup and just generally very good for the entire team, but they probably do have answers to bug-type Pokemon in the back. But let's see, we go for the Iron Head. Iron Head is actually going to be no-shielded, which is quite surprising. The opponent fires off the Rock Tomb. I'm going to swap. They swap at the same time, but they come in with a Gligar, and this isn't really an ideal matchup for me. I'm going to shield the first move here, as they do just fire off an Aerial Ace bait, but I'm also going to fire off an Aerial Ace of my own. Aerial Ace is non-stab from the Shadow Escavalier, however, so the opponent is going to shield that up there. I think I might consider double shielding just to grab the final shield back from the opponent, or flip this matchup. I'm going to fire off Aerial Ace number 2. Aerial Ace might not even get the KO from this range, and it doesn't, but we can Bug Bite farm them down. The final Pokemon is going to be a Gelatin, however, and honestly, things are not looking too good for me, but we do reach the Drill Run. Drill Run gonna grab the final shield. I'm now gonna swap into Wormadam, recognizing that I probably would have been Hex farmed down on my Escavalier there. They fire off the Shadow Ball, which we're barely able to tank, and I can commit to the Bug Buzz. Both moves are resisted. Bug Buzz gonna do more damage, but it doesn't put them into Bug Bite farm down range for my Durant. So honestly, my only play is hoping the opponent tries to catch an X-Scissor onto their Credilli. So the opponent fires off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball does big damage, but they swap out too soon, and we get the farm down, coming out with that Stone Edge loaded, and of course, once again, Stone Edge gonna get the KO there, taking out the Jellicent, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up in there into the next battle. You can see Greninja in the lead. So, honestly, actually not that ideal for me. But the opponent is going to be safe swapping into Dusclops anyway. So, I already think I know the team. It's going to be Clodsire in the back. This is a team that Homesize Henry showcased a good few weeks ago. Maybe even a month ago at this point. I don't know. But either way, this is where I want to see the Dusclops. Obviously, going to resist the Bug Bite damage from my 2 back Pokemon. And if it is Clodsire in the back, I want to have my Escavalier aligned, as we do have access to Drill Run. But gonna no shield here. They will actually significantly outpace me to the next move, but I have grabbed a shield advantage. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna no shield, let the Wormadam go down, gonna come in with my Durant, and they are probably gonna reach 2 more charge moves here. The opponent fires off the Shadow Punch. We're committing to that Bug Bite farm down, and we actually get the farm down just as they're reaching the move. Now we come in with Shadow Escavalier, and look at that Bug Bite damage. The opponent swaps out there, back into Greninja. Doesn't help them. They get the boost, but again, that does not help them, as we get the full Bug Bite farm down, and now I will definitely be able to reach 2 drill runs. First one, gonna grab the final shield there. Drill run will not be enough damage to get the KO, however, it will actually put them into Bug Bite farm down range. If not for the Shadow Escavalier, then definitely for the Durant. So drill run number 2 does big damage there. The opponent gonna be forced to throw pretty much straight away, and I believe Durant does already have an X-Scissor loaded, so whilst I could commit to the farm down, instead, let's just fire off the charge move, guarantee that win. X-Scissor gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up in there into next battle. See a weird glitch where I honestly wasn't looking, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm actually in a battle. Okay, well, anyways, we're going to see Galissapod, and this time they are staying in. They are on Shadow Claws, of course, hitting for neutral damage. I'm going to bank a charge move. I probably should have thrown a Bug Buzz before swapping out there, because now I am forced to shield. We've seen already, Durant does not tank charge moves particularly well. But the opponent's going to come in and completely wall the energy, however. With the Clodsire, we're going to go for an X-Scissor. X-Scissor doesn't do much damage. It is stab, but yeah, that's generally why I use the Escavalier as the safe swap for the most part, just because Drill Run and Aerial Ace is fairly good coverage. Of course, Stone Edge is going to be good up against flying type Pokemon and fire types, however, we're just never going to get to a Stone Edge up against fire types. But yeah, I think Escavalier is definitely a safer Pokemon in the current meta. Neither of them are particularly safe, I will add. But anyways, we come in. Earthquake doesn't quite take us out there. They come in with a Shadow Drapion, and we do still have a slither of hope here. But, of course, we're going to come in. We are double resisting the Poison Sting damage. The opponent looks like possibly they're lagging there. I'm kind of unsure. Maybe just a bit of stutters, and they do catch up. They bait with an Aqua Tail, so I'm forced to swap, catch the next charge move onto my 1 HP Durant. But unfortunately, I think even though I've got so much HP, they've got 2 shields remaining. I'm just not going to be able to fully Bug Bite farm them down or reach 3 Aerial Aces, and the opponent able to reach a last second Aqua Jet, taking out the Escavalier, and unfortunately I do lose that game. But GG's up on their into next battle. Secret Ninja in the lead once again. This time they are choosing to stay in, which is smart. I mean, they first of all should just try and see what fast move I'm running anyways, and they do exactly that. So here, I'm going to fire off the Bug Buzz. I can win the zero shield scenario very comfortably, and Bug Buzz is going to be shielded by the opponent. They do actually overfarm quite considerably, which is definitely not ideal for me, but Night Slash gets the KO there. They don't get the boost this time around, which is good. We can come in with the Shadow Escavalier, and I should be able to shield once and Bug Bite farm them down. The opponent is not able to reach another charge move there. They come in with a Shadow Primate, but we've got Aerial Ace coverage. So Aerial Ace gonna be coming through. It's gonna grab the final shield there. I'm now gonna swap into Durant, basically just force the opponent to full send a close combat. The opponent does exactly that, getting the one shot there, and they do have the energy for another close combat, so of course, I'm definitely shielding this. The opponent swaps into their final Pokemon, Dedenne, but I'm just barely able to outpace them, to the draw run, getting the one shot there, and resisted Bug Bites, farm down the Shadow Primate, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up in there into next battle. You can see Shadow Dusknoir in the lead. So, of course, this is where we want to see it. Of course, we do have 2 Pokemon with Bug-type fast move pressure in the back, which is going to be resisted. The opponent fires off the Shadow Punch. Wormadam is fairly bulky. It can be XL. Mine isn't, because I just didn't want to use that much Stardust to build this Pokemon when I did build it. But at this point, we can see I would be able to reach another Iron Head here if I do shield this up. So, of course, I'm going to go for the shield. Look to grab either the final shield from the opposing Pokemon, or we can come in with the Escavalier and get that snipe with the Bug Bite farm down. But they're going to have a Diggersby, and yes, whilst of course not a Fire-type Pokemon, they're going to have access to Fire Punch, so this is definitely not ideal. We're going to shield up the Fire Punch there. I'm then going to look to throw on CMP. Duron will not get the KO, but I think I would prefer if the opponent used their final shield, and they do exactly that. Of course, Fire Punch easily one-shots us here. We can come in with a Durant, and if they throw straight away, I will be able to make a catch onto my Wormadam, so they will outpace me. I'm going to swap, catch the next Fire Punch there, and I will be able to outpace them to the next charge attack as well. Potentially even Bug Bite farm them all the way down. So the opponent swaps into Dedenne, and we're going straight for the Stone Edge. Stone Edge, of course, gonna connect, but it doesn't do as much damage as I was hoping for, and that will not put them into Bug Bite farm down range. Parabolic Charge nearly gets the one shot there. They can Thunder Shock, farm me down, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up on there into the next battle. You can see Credilli in the lead once again. So again, great lead matchup for me. The last time they did actually no shield the first charge move. This time they are going to shield up the Iron Head, and that's perfectly fine with me. I think I will swap out of this matchup now. Nope, actually never mind. They're going to swap into for Alligator. We can come in with the Durant, and I will shield the first charge move. The opponent fires off the Hydro Cannon there. I can now outpace them to the next charge attack, although Bug Bite not generating energy that quickly. We fire off the Exeter, and Exeter grabs the final shield. I'm hoping maybe I've put them into range where Escavalier can Bug Bite farm them down before they even reach another charge attack, but let's see. Gonna wait out the switch clock here, come in with the Escavalier, and Bug Bite's able to get that farm down before they even reach another move. They're gonna come in with a Mana Buzz. They swap back into Credilli, and I'll be honest, couldn't really remember how much energy they had. I probably could have settled for an Aerial Ace here, but Duron guarantees the KO. They come back in with the Mana Buzz. We're firing off the Aerial Ace here. They're gonna need to throw a charge move to get the KO here. The opponent trying to farm up 2 back-to-back charge attacks, but it's just not gonna be enough for them. Aerial Ace does decent damage. We get that Bug Bite farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into the next battle. You can see Dusclops in the lead. So, once again, this is definitely where we want to see it with the Ghost types up against this team. Gonna no shield. The opponent, by the way, could be having access to Fire Punch. That is a move in Dusclops' arsenal. But typically, you're going to see Shadow Punch and Ice Punch, or potentially a Poltergeist if the opponents are feeling spicy. But either way, probably not going to see a Fire Punch there, which is definitely ideal for us. They go for the Ice Punch there for some reason. What the heck was even that? We are going to go for the Iron Head. Iron Head not going to get the KO still, but it will put them into Metal Sound farm down range. The opponent, of course, making the mistake going for the Ice Punch will allow me to win the Zero Shield scenario, but they come in with Empoleon on Waterfall, which is definitely not ideal for me. We only reach a double resistant Iron Head. Maybe I should have just saved it for the end game there, swapped out immediately, but we come in with the Durant. They're going to go for a Drill Peck there. Not really sure why they go for that. Doesn't really make a difference. Both Drill Peck and Hydro Cannon probably get the KO anyways. We fire off the Exeter, and the opponent not committing to the farm down there. They are going to throw. The opponent goes for another Drill Peck there, but either way, doesn't really make a difference. But their final Pokemon going to be a Azumarill. They have 2 Water-type Pokemon resisting the Bug Bite damage. We can go for Drill Run here. Drill Run does respectable damage, but unfortunately nowhere near enough. The opponent goes straight for an Ice Beam, so I'm kind of forced to no-shield that. But they've now put me into range where they can just commit to a full bubble farm down. So smart play on the opponent's end there. The opponent can just shield that up there, committing to that bubble farm down. And unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's up on their into next battle. You can see a Shadow Gligar in the lead. So, of course, we're going to stay in this matchup here. These Fury Cutters, whilst they are resisted, looks like they're doing about 2 damage here. So, they are going to add up just because they are a 1-turn fast move. They fire off the Dig. Dig does decent damage here. And we're going to go for an Iron Head. Iron Head not going to do as much damage as the opposing Dig. And the opponent able to outpace me. I figured this would be an Aerial Ace. Maybe we hang on. But no, that is not the case. So, unfortunately, going to go down there. And the opponent just barely able to reach a last-second Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace is going to grab my shield. Definitely not ideal for me in the slightest, but let's see what we can do. The opponent going to come in with a Drapion. Now, they're non-shadow, so, of course, doesn't really make a difference in terms of how much damage they're dealing to me, as Crunch is going to grab my shields anyways, but, of course, Bug Bites dealing less damage because they're non-shadow. We are now going to overfarm just a tiny amount. Fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace doesn't get the KO, but it actually puts them into farm down range, and their final Pokemon going to be a Lapras here. Now, we've seen Durant struggle to tank charge moves so far, but hopefully it can at least live a Sparkling Aria. I'm staying in, forcing the opponent to throw a charge move here. And the opponent is going to do exactly that. Sparkling Aria gets the KO. They will outpace me to the next charge attack. We're only going to need an X-Scissor, but I need to live this charge move. Durant able to tank the Sparkling Aria this time around. Fire off the X-Scissor, and of course, from this range, X-Scissor takes out the Lapras. And I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on their into next battle. We're going to see Wormadam into Azumarill. So, once again, a Pokemon that resists the bug typing. So, definitely good to see it here. The opponent is going to stay in this matchup. And unless they farm up to a Hydro Pump, then I should be able to tank anything very comfortably. They do actually farm up to the Hydro Pump. But still, I'm going to no-shield anyways. And it is just a play rough bait there. So, that's fine with me. They're going to swap into a Shadow Kanto Marowak. I'm going straight for Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz does big damage. It drops the defense. And the opponent actually gets Bug Bite farm down there, trying to overfarm, and the opponent is just going to concede the match there. Very unfortunate on their end, but GG's to that trainer. Into the next battle, we're going to see Wormadam into a Primeape. So, of course, once again, another Pokemon that resists the bug typing. Good to see it here. However, the opponent, if they want to, they can probably double shield in this matchup and then just completely ramp up their attack stat. We're going to fire off the Iron Head. Iron Head probably going to grab a shield. Primeape is a very glassy Pokemon. Now here, I think I should still just barely live a Rage Fist from this range. The opponent has back-to-back moves loaded. I do know shield, but they are going to throw the next one straight away. So I can win the one shield scenario here, or I can grab both shields from the opponent, and the opponent is going to double shield. So of course, I've only got resisted bug bite damage here, which is definitely not ideal. I'm going to come in with the Shadow Escavalier, as of course, Shadow, the bug bites are dealing a lot of damage here. The opponent goes for yet another Rage Fist. We're taking big damage from the Karate Chops. They're going to come in with a Dunsparce. I'm going to overfarm as much as possible. Fire off the Durarun here. Durarun, of course, is going to connect. We swap into Durant, and the opponent will throw a move. The opponent goes for Rock Slide for some reason, but here I make a huge mistake. I did not throw the charge attack, and I will explain why. I play with the sound on here, so I usually count fast moves based on the fast moves that I can hear, rather than what I can actually see, and for some reason, that first Shadow Claw, as they came in, just didn't make a sound there, and as a result, I thought they were at 4 Shadow Claws, so I went for the overfarm, and it backfires massively as the opponent outpaces me with the Dunsparce, and I do lose that game. But GG's to our trainer into the next battle. We're going to see a Dugong in the lead, so I'm going straight for Iron Head, expecting the opponent possibly to shield the first charge move anyways, and they do exactly that. Now, I plan on committing no shields to my Wormadam. They go for a bait with the Icy Wind, which really doesn't do much damage. I can now no shield as well, and then clear my debuff, come in with my Durant, and Durant will be able to outpace them to the charge attack. I'm hoping X-Scissor gets the KO from this range. X-Scissor doesn't, but we get that Bug Bite Snipe before they can throw the charge move, which is huge for me. They're now going to come in with a Azumarill, so double water so far. We're firing off the Stone Edge, and again, probably not going to commit any shields to my Durant here, just because I'm in a pretty good position. Wormadam does have a lot of energy. We can save our shields for the Escavalier. They actually don't get the KO, so we're going to come in with the Wormadam. I believe that's a CMP tie there, but if it is, it's just going to be another Ice Beam, which is resisted. Wormadam will tank this comfortably, and their final Pokemon is going to be a Serperior, so they're probably going to have to go for a very aggressive farm down here, but Bug Buzz does huge damage. The opponent is actually getting that Vine Whip farm down, but it doesn't matter. Bug Bite gets that farm down. We can Bug Bite, farm down the Azu, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. We can see Wormadam into a Shadow Scizor. So, of course, battle of the Bug and Steel-type Pokemon here. The opponent is going to outpace me to that first charge move. They're actually going to throw on CMP here, and Night Slash, you don't see this, but they actually get a boost with that Night Slash, and I have to say, like, I've seen a few Shadow Scizors recently, they just seem to get a boost every single time. I'm going to shield this. The opponent's actually going to go for a Trailblaze. They're guaranteeing to boost up their attack once again. I can fire off the Exeter. They are 3 stages boosted in their attack, so they're actually going to shield, fire off another charge move here. The opponent this time goes for the Night Slash, and again, they get another boost. You can see it only says attack rose rather than attack rose sharply because they could only go up by 1 more stage. That is insane and super frustrating. And this opponent clearly doesn't believe in fire types either as they come in with their second bug and steel type Pokemon. I hope I see a Genesect in the back. That would just be so satisfying to see. But they go for a Sand Tomb. I'm forced to swap out. And note, the opponent does actually have fire type coverage. Don't really know how they play that matchup up against a fire type in the lead, which is where I saw most of the fire types in today's battles, but I mean, I'm not one to talk. I'm literally triple double weak to the fire typing. But anyways, Jellicent takes out our team there, and unfortunately, I do lose that game. But GG's top on their next battle. You can see Gligar in the lead once again, but this time a non-shadow. And you can see these Fury Cutters are doing so much less damage. Literally half the damage as the previous one up against the shadow version. Dig also doesn't do too much damage either, so this should be a positive matchup for the Wormadam this time around. Ironhead does do just over half the HP with the resulting Metal Sound damage as well. We can go for another Ironhead as they do overfarm, and that's fine with me. I should still live any one charge move, so I'm going to no shield here. And and the opponent, because I've overfarmed, might go for a farm down, and as a result, we reach yet another Iron Head. Iron Head grabs both shields from the opponent. I'm coming in with the Durant. They've got a lot of energy, so I will shield the first move. They do end up baiting with the aerial ace, and then likely throwing the dig this time around, but either way, gonna no shield. It is the dig, but they come in with Galissapod, and I can outpace them to a Stone Edge, and we've seen this already. Stone Edge gets the one shot up against Galissapod. Their final Pokemon gonna be a Furret, and as long as they're not able to make a catch on my charge move, I should be looking good here. We're going to shield the first move. The opponent is going to go for a Trailblaze, boosting up their attack. I don't mind that play from the opponent, but it's not going to be enough for them as Droron gets the KO. I can Bug Bite, farm down the Gligar, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. We can see Wormadam into Dusknoir. So once again, where we want to see the Ghost type with this team. And again, we're probably going to play out the one shield scenario, just narrowly lose, and then maybe look to snipe with either my Durant or my Escavalier in the back. The opponent fires off the Shadow Punch. There is worth noting, this is a non-shadow, so we're actually not going to deal as much damage with these Iron Heads. And likewise, maybe I could just barely live the next Shadow Punch here, but I'm not sure if I would live the next Astonish. So I'm going to throw the Iron Head. If they double shield, I will be forced to swap out. Otherwise, I'm pretty much just giving them guaranteed energy to farm me down there. So we come in with the Escavalier. I'm going to use my final shield. I'm now going to overfarm, fire off the Aerial Ace just before they do reach that next charge attack. Aerial Ace gets the KO there, but they're going to come in with an Exceledion. This is really cool to see, except not really for me because Aerial Ace just doesn't do that much damage, even from a Shadow Escavalier. And by the way, I've now got quite a lot of Stardust for once, as I have been, of course, taking advantage of the 4x Stardust event that we've got currently going on right now in Pokemon Go. I could build a Shadow Ledian, so let me know in the comments if you would like to see that in action. Here, the opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Grumpig, and I'm in an awkward situation where I can overfarm here, but with the Psywave damage, that might put me into range where an Aerial Ace or a Dynamic Punch will get the KO, and it actually doesn't quite take me out there, but they can Bug Bite farm me down, so unfortunately, I do end up losing that game, but GG's to that trainer. Into the next battle, we're going to see a Shadow, Alolan Sandslash. We are going to stay in this matchup here. They actually just go straight for an Ice Punch, which is very strange to me, but that is, of course, resisted damage. Potentially the opponent making a mistake thinking this is a different kind of Wormadam, which is going to be weak to the ice typing. Either the ground or the grass type Wormadam are both weak to ice, but either way, not going to complain here. We're now going to swap Snipe with the Shadow Bug Bite damage from the Escavalier, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to come in with a Drifblim, which is definitely not ideal for me, but I'm going to throw very risky on CMP because if they're not on Mystical Fire, which is quite unlikely, then it doesn't really make sense to throw here, but they do end up throwing the Icy Wind anyway, so that is kind of strange. They now come in with the Dene, and I am debuffed, but I'm going for the Droron. Droron is going to be shielded, unfortunately, and they can commit to a full farm down. So my plan here is just to come in with my Wormadam. We've got the charge move loaded, and the opponent does not throw straight away, so Iron Head is, of course, going to connect there. The opponent is going to throw the charge move now. Parabolic Charge gets the KO there. They boost up their defense, but that's fine with me. This just gives Durant more farm capabilities here to potentially reach a Stone Edge into the Drifblim coming back in. Now, they do throw very quickly. The opponent is just going for an Icy Wind once again, so that's perfectly fine with me. I'm now going to farm up to the Stone Edge, fire off the Stone Edge. Stone Edge, even debuffed, gets the one shot there. And at this point, I can just shield once. I could throw the Charge Move, as we do have the energy for it, but instead, you know what? We're just going to Bug Bite farm them down, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. Now, if you want to take your support to the next level, you can become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments of every video. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has become a channel member already. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.